By the way, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm.
The Rees Company.
Crack open a tepid Genesee and watch the pictures as they travel through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Morianti. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. We're going to do something a little different here tonight, Steve. We're going to have two movies of the week, doing with a similar subject, and we're going to compare them, I guess.
Yes. So let's get to it. One of these movies of the week is called Devil's Food. It aired on Lifetime on September 2nd, 1996. Now, I did not watch this live.
Oh, well, that's surprising, but neither did I.
Well, I had plans that night.
Oh, okay. What was going on?
I was attending my first of what would become several Oasis concerts over the years.
Oh, nice.
And I bought this very shirt.
Nice.
On that very night.
I think you made a wise decision in your entertainment choices that evening.
You didn't like this one. We can spoil it. You did not care for this film at all.
I was going to say that one of these films that we're about to talk about is probably the worst film I've seen in 2 years of us doing this show. But I was going to leave that up so people could figure out which one. But it'll become apparent very quickly.
Okay. Devil's Food stars Suzanne Somers, who at the time of this recording is recently deceased. She, of course, was best known as Chrissy Snow in the early days of the sitcom Three's Company. And if it weren't for that show, our show wouldn't get so many views from dumb guys.
Yeah. And because she's recently passed, Steve, and I'm gonna say a lot of bad things about this movie. I just want to point out that it's not her talent was wasted in this. It's no disrespect to her.
It's nothing personal.
If you want to reminisce about her or remember her, go watch some Three's Company episodes, or okay. Our other movie is a 2001 film, originally titled The Devil and Daniel Webster. It ran into some production issues. The FBI confiscated the funding for this movie before they had finished shooting it. And it languished and was finally released in 2007 under a new title, Shortcut to Happiness, or The Shortcut to Happiness. I'm not, what's it say there? Just Shortcut to Happiness, yeah. And it went on a few screens and then went basically straight to video.
Now, do you know why the footage was confiscated, or the funding was?
The funding was confiscated because this was directed by Alec Baldwin. I believe he also produced it, and I believe he got into bed with some shady characters in order to make this happen. It wouldn't be his worst production mistake.
So, shall we dive in?
Well, here's the thing, Steve. We
40 years almost next year doing this, and I can't talk sometimes.
It's okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
The Shortcut to Happiness we have no clips of. We're not. That's protected by copyright things, so we can't. We have a couple still pictures, but most of this is. Well, all the clips are going to be from the Suzanne Somers movie, so we should probably dive into that.
Okay. Well, in this Devil's Food, Suzanne Somers plays a local TV anchor in Syracuse. She auditions to co-present a network show similar to 60 Minutes. Back upstate, Suzanne explains to a coworker why she believes her bid for the national gig was not successful.
Really, I'm not just saying that as a friend.
I need skirts to hide my hips, slacks to camouflage my thighs. I can't expose these flabby arms. You know what I'm supposed to weigh? 116 pounds. You know what I weighed today? 151 pounds. That's why I turn the monitors away from me during broadcast, because I look like Porky Pig. I should be doing the farm news.
Chris? There's another star of this film.
Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
His talent is also wasted in this. Anyone associated with this Steve, if I were the bookkeeper, if I were the guy who delivered the catering in this movie, I would want my name removed from it. So, but yeah, he is in it as well.
He plays the agent of the devil, who could be on the outs. With
he doesn't play the devil himself. No, because that would be interesting.
He's a henchman.
He's a guy who gets fired by the devil. They don't defeat the devil in the end. Some guy just gets fired. That's how lame. Every decision they make is wrong in this movie. Every decision is against it. They were writing this and somebody said, you know what would be interesting? Is the other guy goes, let's take it down a notch. That's this whole film.
Well, Dabney is under threat. He's received an ultimatum from Satan.
Yeah.
Who
is a guy behind a desk.
Yes. Nice little cozy office there. It looks sort of like a vacation home.
Yeah.
Satan has him on a short leash, and his days are numbered, Dabney's are. If he does not successfully win the soul of Suzanne Somers, then he's on the outs.
Yeah, why that's the case, I don't know, because we see he has many souls that he's already taken.
Yeah, he's sort of the corollary in this to Clarence of from
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Except I guess Dabney's trying to win his horns and not his wings.
Yeah. Well, both these are based on The Devil and Daniel Webster, even though one was supposed to be a direct interpretation of it, and this one is more loosely based. It's more like what's that Charlie Daniels song?
Oh, The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Yeah.
It's more inspired by that than The Devil and Daniel Webster, but that's the concept of both these films.
Well, Dabney Coleman has been appearing in various places trying to woo Suzanne to the dark side. And here, he appears in a diner where Suzanne is eating dessert alone, and he pitches his diet program.
So on my program, you eat whatever you want and still get down to your best weight. I'd say about 116.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you... This is one of those high-protein, high-fat diets. Tried that one. I lost 10 pounds on it. It's a short-term diet.
Oh, well, mine's long-term. That's why they call it forever slender. Just eat whatever you want, when you want it, however much you want, and stay forever slender.
Right. And all I have to do is sell my soul.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I've taken the liberty of filling in a few of the details on this agreement here. You might want to look at it. Now, don't feel obligated anyway.
Chris, why in all of these soul purchasing or soul stealing films and media, why is there always a contract involved? What court of law is overseeing this? And are we meant to believe that the Prince of Darkness is above committing forgery? Well, hey, St. Peter, right here. Mr. Rogers is ours.
Well, I think it's meant to culminate in a climactic court scene, as in the Devil and Daniel Webster. But of course, this film, they're not going to do that. It goes into business
for itself.
Huh?
It goes into business for itself.
I don't know what that means.
But
okay, so let's at this point introduce the concept of let's introduce the other film, Shortcut to Happiness. Now, I mentioned that Alec Baldwin produced this film, and I think directed it. Yeah, directed it. He also cast himself in the lead role. There he is in one of the opening scenes. Now, he plays a struggling writer, and he sells his soul for success as a writer, whereas Suzanne Somers sells her soul so that she can continue eating ho-hos and not gain the freshman 15. So once again, they instead of going for something grand, they choose something. So she could have done the same thing with diet and exercise that she sold her soul for. That's what this movie is about. It's infuriating. I'm angry about how bad this movie is.
Well, part of Suzanne's insecurity is the competition she's facing from a young and attractive by Lifetime Network standards, yet inept weather girl. In fact, Suzanne loses her anchor spot to the young woman. So now she's out in the field as a reporter. And Suzanne sees an increasingly familiar face as she wraps up a live report.
We got your hot dogs here. Hot dogs with chili. Pastrami. Hot pastrami. Very hot pastrami. How about some corned beef? Chili dogs, double-deck cheese bows. Hot dogs with chili. Hot dogs with chili and hot pastrami.
That's me outside of Taylor Swift's house.
Nice.
There's a hostage situation at the downtown post office.
Why not?
And Suzanne and her photographer rush to the scene. And we're going to see a little bit of this as they arrive. Downtown Syracuse. Hostage situation. It was the 90s. This was going on all the time in post offices. Postal workers were losing their minds.
Yeah, that's true.
Sally McCormick? Yeah. A big fan of yours wants to talk to you. It's the psycho in the post office.
Sally, glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Listen, his name is Martin. Tell him to come out so you can meet him. Oh, yeah, and he wanted some chicken. We ordered it. It's on its way.
Martin. Martin, this is Sally McCormick. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be just listening in on this other cell phone.
I don't know what's going on. Did they even, I guess 96 they had cell phones. I don't know.
But I guess people didn't know how they worked exactly, so folks would have bought that as plausible.
Okay.
Police are against Suzanne entering the scene, and she and her photographer, they sneak by the barricades, and in they go. Now, one of the abductors' demands is food from a place called Chicken on the Run.
Sure.
Dabney turns up as the delivery man, and Suzanne is tempted.
I will say this did do one thing. It did make me hungry. All the times that they tempt her with food, I'm like, man, I could go for some fried chicken right now. And that pastrami sandwich sounded delicious, so
All right.
they succeeded in that at least.
That's
And
got to
my
be
dad
worth at
used to
least
be a
one
mailman.
Meredith Baxter, no?
Oh,
And
no.
his brother, my uncle was too. And my grandfather. I guess I come from a long line of mailmen. Now they call them mail carriers. Hey, you want some chicken?
no.
It's the best on the street. I ordered up one.
No, thank you.
Some fries. How's the chicken?
Maybe I'll
Would,
have one
Why
little,
have no
like
response
a
there?
wing or something.
Well, they're terrified of giving him the wrong answer.
they didn't look terrified. If that was the direction, then look terrified. Instead, they just look like they're, it's okay. Middle of the road and everything.
Oh, man. So covering the hostage situation from inside gets Suzanne gets her work noticed by the network.
Okay.
So that evening, footage from her report airs nationwide, but Suzanne is cut out of it.
Yeah.
Now, after Suzanne resists...
Because somebody didn't want to be upstaged. I don't remember who, but that's why.
It was the anchor of the national news program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Suzanne, she sends Dabney away once again, but he suggests an alternative deal.
Well, I understand. I just hate to leave without doing something to help you out. Wait a minute. I could give you the 6-month option. In 6 months, if your life is not exactly the way you want it to be, you just walk.
Just walk away?
Absolutely. Don't even have to sign anything. All I need is a handshake. What do you say?
Yeah.
Now, Steve, in contrast, the other movie that we're talking about, Shortcut to Happiness, whereas Dabney Coleman plays a guy who works for the devil, in that film, the devil is played by the lovely Jeniffer Love Hewitt. And when she offers him the deal of success, it's that one. Yeah, there you go, Jim. It's the, in order to seal the contract, they consummate it sexually. That's entertaining, folks. That's how you make an entertaining film.
Now,
A sex scene with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Alec Baldwin.
now, in the case of Suzanne Somers, she does accept the deal. We don't see the handshake occur. But
Yeah, why would you?
she
That's only crucial to the plot. Why would you include 2 seconds of that happening?
Chris, nearly 200 of these I think we've done. No, that doesn't make any sense.
No, that's impossible.
Nearly 80 is what I mean.
Maybe.
I've never seen you this angry. And I've seen you angry at many of these films.
I've been angry at having been made to watch them, but I don't care. That comes with the gig. I'm angry that this was even made. I'm angry. I don't know what the budget for this was, but this was 1996, right?
Yeah.
Kevin Smith released Clerks in 1995. He did that on a freaking credit card. Can you imagine if he'd had the budget, give him, someone with talent like him, the money that they spent making this, whatever this is? That's what makes me angry. There's people with talent who can't break into the movie industry, and then there's people making stuff like this. It's really that bad, folks. I'm not exaggerating here.
But things end up
maybe Steve actually enjoyed this. I guess we'll find out. But
things end up going pretty well for Suzanne.
Great.
She gets a repeat audition with the network, and it goes well. She gets that her agent gets it for her on the back of her groundbreaking news story inside the hostage situation. Well, Suzanne gets the network gig. In fact, she's quickly promoted from reporter to sharing the anchor desk. Suzanne also gets engaged. Now, after the 6-month mark, or at the 6-month mark, Dabney shows up in Suzanne's sauna.
I don't mean to interrupt, Steve. I just have to point something out. She was on track to be engaged. The deal with the devil had nothing to do with that. That was already going to happen.
Yeah, I believe she's about to explain that to the agent of Satan, who shows up in her sauna. Let's see.
Well, looks like our little 6-month trial period is up, huh? Wait a minute. Look, don't worry about it. There will be no interruption in service, all right?
It is real hot in here. I can't. Not forever. Not my soul. And besides, I really don't think that I have a food problem anymore. No, really. I'm feeling very good about myself. And I don't really need... You said I could. I could just walk.
You want to?
Will I lose all of this?
You got all this. I just kept you at your perfect weight. That's all I promised. That's all I delivered.
All right, that sounds like a pretty good deal then. Her career is on the rise, which she achieved on her own, according to Dabney. All she has to do is maintain her weight. It seems that simply through diet and exercise, she could become Oprah. Whoa, Chris. I think I see your point.
Yeah.
I think I see how this film is fundamentally flawed.
Right.
All right, so she denies Dabney again her soul.
Again? Really?
Yeah.
We're like halfway through, and all right.
But left to her own devices, she's unable to keep the weight off. She quickly balloons to a scale-tipping 123 pounds.
Is that really what it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in her decades-long reign as queen of daily television, during which this movie aired, do you think Oprah weighed less than $180?
No.
What is this woman concerned about?
I'm not sure your figures are right. I know at one point she steps on the scale and it says 123. But I think she was heavier than that in the early part.
In the beginning she was 150 something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Still well below what Oprah's ever weighed in that.
I mean,
do they have talk show weigh-ins?
There's a lady on,
apart from Keenan.
There's a lady on our local Fox affiliate news who's been there for decades, and she started off as a somewhat slender lady, and now she's as big as a house, and she maintains her job because she's just been there that long. So yeah, she could have probably gone that route, or as we said, just take a little bit better care of yourself. We see her jogging at one point after she signs a deal that she'll never gain weight. Why are you jogging then? Why would you jog?
Oh, man. See, so Suzanne, she panics at her 7-pound weight gain and calls on Dabney to make it stop. She'd rather be condemned for all eternity after this life than condemned to being part of a traveling circus during this one. 123 pounds. Now, I'd like to issue once again a trigger warning.
Oh, boy.
After all, this is a Lifetime movie from the 1990s, and what would one be without an on-screen deadly justice.
Oh, gee, really?
Our apologies for what you're about to see.
Smile.
Barbarous.
Oh, that's what qualifies in
Barbarous.
2023?
In 2023, indeed, yeah.
Yeah. For a second, I thought this was going to get interesting, but I'm wrong again.
Well, the reason why she wears a frown is because Suzanne is upset. She feels guilty. Her best friend, Dory, is now a field reporter for the network who manages to get quite a scoop. She scores a few one-on-one questions with a reclusive U.S. president. So when the network runs the interview, Suzanne has Dory and her questions cut out of the package, just like what had been done to her on her report on the Syracuse hostage situation.
Yeah.
So when Suzanne's fiancé finds out about this, he calls off their engagement and heads back to Syracuse because her behavior has changed dramatically. She's no longer the woman she once was, a woman of integrity. So she starts dating her co-anchor, Charles.
Yeah.
And he has a secret of his own.
More coffee, kids?
Charles, this is,
Seymour and I are old friends.
Oh, don't look so startled, young lady. Have lots of programs. Oh, but you never saw the brochure, did you? Yeah, well, now, Forever Slender is one of our top 10, for sure. But, Charles, tell her what number 1 is.
Forever Young.
Yeah. Look at him. Closer. Not bad for 75 years old, huh?
That's right, Chris. Sell your soul, and you can look permanently 50.
That makes no sense. Also, wouldn't the Forever Young be inclusive of the Forever Slender? If you sign the deal when you're already slender, I don't. I'm not trying to pile on.
All right, so it turns out Charles has another secret. He's terminally ill with cancer, and he's been sneaking around to doctor's appointments to keep his diagnosis from Dabney.
Yeah, you know how you see your doctor at a fancy restaurant at 9 o'clock at night? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, they go somewhere posh. I don't know. It turns out if Dabney isn't there when you die, he can't take your soul.
Oh, really?
Because souls are apparently neutralized by embalming fluid. I don't know. Okay. Well, let's see some more.
His vital signs are extremely weak. The anesthesiologist should be here. There he is.
Now, just breathe naturally, Mr. Layden.
Cardiac arrest. Defib 150.
99. Clear.
200.
Clear.
Call it.
The deal's a deal. You understand? And I am everywhere.
Chris, you seem very upset.
Do they let spectators in for open heart surgeries or whatever the hell was going on there?
I don't think they do. Jim was also irritated by this scene.
It's Jim. It's infuriating. I tell you. I was watching this scene, going, "Is that Suzanne Somers? What is she, a nurse now? What's happening? What is happening?" Also, the guy has cancer. Do you need to poison gas him? What? That seems like overkill, right?
That wasn't an attempt at reviving? Oh, I guess he was the anesthesiologist.
He was the anesthesiologist.
Okay, yeah.
You already gave him cancer.
All right, well, Suzanne, she heads back to Syracuse to do a network story to take viewers on a tour of her broadcast roots, which, to our surprise, was pretty light on basements and disused dry cleaners.
I'm sorry I missed it, man.
That's all right. Here, as she delivers a piece about where she is now from her old Syracuse newsroom.
I just got it.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
have a weird...
That's very inside.
We have a weird career trajectory.
Yeah.
She takes folks back to where she came from. And she does this by delivering a piece in her old Syracuse newsroom And we learn that her producer has the poorest instincts in the business.
Today, she is at her perfect weight.
She's talking about herself in the third person.
She has realized most of her big dreams. Today should be the happiest day of her life, and would be if somewhere along the way she hadn't lost that special gift and the man that she loved.
Cut.
I know.
Sally, we can't use that.
I'm sorry.
What? Really?
Is that the actual director of this film? Because they seem to have the same instincts. I'm sorry, but Chris did not enjoy this movie. Chris is getting pretty upset about it.
That scene reminded me of a few years back, Chris, a couple years back, when you and I were part of a heated exchange.
Oh, really?
And the guy behind the boards, not with one another,
Right.
but the guy behind the boards, who I'd like to make clear is not in this room right now.
Right.
He turned off our mics so we could fight it out off the air.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. That's good radio right there.
So Suzanne reconciles with her fiance. His name is Andrew.
I don't belong to myself anymore. I've sold my soul.
Sally, we've all made bad mistakes.
Really. I've sold my soul. Remember Seymour Kecker and that contract he gave me? You laughed at it. He is the devil.
Oh, so you're crazy.
Yeah,
That's
Steve,
what's going on here.
can we let it run a couple more seconds? Because he says something.
113:41. That's fine from there.
Yeah.
I believe that you believe this is real, Sally.
Yeah, right? That's
Sorry.
Good call.
that was actually the only scene in this whole movie I enjoyed, because that is something people say to each other. I believe that you believe this.
Well, Andrew will end up being convinced. See, Dabney keeps a VHS library, and each tape depicts the eventual death of one of his clients. And Dabney allows Suzanne to view the one with her name on it. And she frantically races so that Andrew can view it as well.
Watch this. Watch this. Look at this.
What is this?
Just watch it.
Life and Death of Sally McCormick.
Seriously, just watch
All right. That's my new car. I don't remember us being in my new car.
Because it hasn't happened yet, but it will. Oh, my gosh. Andrew.
There it is. Haven't seen that in a while, have we? That used to be
Exploding
almost
cars.
every week. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't done an exploding car movie in a while.
So, Suzanne Drew, I just gave him a tabloid name, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
They hatch a plan to outfox Dabney. They request 6 more months of life, and in exchange for not just Suzanne's soul, but for Andrew's as well.
The soul of one Andrew Burnside, to wit, for 6 additional months. Just put your Daniel Webster, your John Hancock there, and we're set, yeah.
All other conditions remain the same.
Yeah, that makes no sense why he would call it. Sorry, I thought we were done.
No, that's good.
That makes no sense why he would say put your Daniel Webster there instead of John Hancock. In no context does that make sense, except that they wanted to get that in there to show you that this is somehow loosely based on the devil and Daniel Webster.
Well, there was another instance
They couldn't more cleverly work it in other than that ridiculous thing that he just said. It makes no sense, just like everything else in this film.
But Daniel Webster was mentioned at least one other time when he said, well, we learned our lesson from Daniel Webster.
Well, sure, that makes sense. That last thing we saw did not. Yeah.
Yeah. So they ask for another 6 months, and they obviously have some sort of plan.
Do you ever see some idiot that calls it your John Henry instead of your John Hancock?
I've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that, right? Idiots.
So this plan they have doesn't work out because 6 months is not long enough to master the fiddle.
Right.
Kidding, of course. Suzanne, they get married, and their plan to avoid their contracts with Dabney partially involves renting one of the trucks depicted in that death video and leaving it parked on the rental lot so it can't be in traffic on the day when this is meant to occur.
Okay. All right.
So Dabney finds out, and he assures them that's no use.
Yeah.
There is a new death tape now with a different vehicle causing the accident.
Sure.
So it appears that their deaths are unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look as the scene unfolds.
Have to go. Andrew, we're going to be on Sycamore Street.
Watch it!
Yeah.
We're gonna see another clip to explain that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure it's the one you're thinking of, but
There's only one explanation.
We'll find out. Something went wrong for Dabney.
Right. Because they should have died right there, and he should have gotten both their souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's not best pleased.
Right.
So he confronts the celebratory couple.
We had a deal. You belong to me. Both of you.
The deal is null and void.
No. Don't give me that science fiction hocus pocus. You think you're the first two to try this little scheme?
But that wasn't our scheme, Seymour. That was just to distract you.
What?
You broke your agreement.
Ridiculous.
I don't think so. Oh, my. 1 pound over my perfect weight.
Impossible.
It's very natural when you're 3 months pregnant. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They tricked him by having her fiance knock her up. Go on.
So Dabney disappears in a burst of flames.
Okay.
And everybody goes home.
Yeah. Now, I said I wasn't going to pile on, and I wasn't going to disrespect Suzanne Somers' memory. Steve, she was 50 when she made this.
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of 50-year-old women getting pregnant these days?
But did she look like, she didn't look like she was 50.
She didn't, but it's just one more thing. Like what? You know, they could have just taken the devil aspect out of this movie entirely and made it about either an older or a younger woman trying to make it in the news broadcast business and facing politics, backstabbing. If it's an older woman, she's facing discrimination. If it's a younger woman, you have the whole storyline of trying to start a family. It would have been more genuine and more interesting by taking the devil thing out of it. They did nothing with that whole concept. All right, should we move on to the other movie?
Sure.
They handle things differently. You didn't get to see this, did you?
I didn't.
All right, so I'm going to try and give you just a brief explanation of what happened. We already said that Alec Baldwin, he was a struggling writer. He meets Jeniffer Love Hewitt, who is the devil, and he sells his soul for success. Now, Dan Aykroyd is in this. Jimmy should have a picture of him there somewhere in this. That's him in this movie. And he plays a writer who is on the verge of success. He has just signed a publishing contract. But when Alec Baldwin's character signs his deal with the devil, he doesn't just become successful. He actually steals the success from Dan Aykroyd's character. And then, of course, what happens with all of these things? At some point, the devil comes for your soul after a certain time period. At that point, the publisher, who Alec Baldwin's character works for, is played by the great Anthony Hopkins. His character's name is Daniel Webster, thus bringing everything full circle. He convinces Daniel Webster, who has defeated the devil before. It's not really explained all that well, but he has previously taken on the devil in court, Steve, and defeated her. So he attempts to defend Alec Baldwin in court, and for that they have a jury, not a jury of the damned, as in the original story, but a jury of writers. And there you see there's Hemingway, Hawthorne in the middle there. That's Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather, to the left, and Truman Capote there. I don't know who the rest of them are. They don't even actually tell you. But that's the jury that's going to decide this case. And the judge turns out to be Dan Aykroyd's character, which I don't know if that made sense, but whatever.
Well, I think that's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
the jury and the judge.
Yeah, well, the judge is obviously biased because he finds out that his success, his failure was Alec Baldwin's success was at his expense, right? So he's not impartial. I don't know. Do we have any more pictures, Jim, or was that all of them? That's all of them. That's pretty much it. He wins in the end, much like the original story that this is based on.
The Devil and Daniel Webster. I don't know if we spelled that out.
We did several times.
Okay.
I don't remember who wrote it. But it doesn't matter.
I think it does matter.
Okay,
It'd be good to have that information.
Maybe Jim can look that up.
Okay.
But it was written a lot later than I thought it had been because it's set in like the 1840s or something. But it was written like 100 years later, like the 1930s. I didn't know that. I thought it was from back then. But no, the original story. It's from the 1930s. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the plot summary. Yeah, it's not anyone that
Stephen Vincent Benet.
It's not someone that you would recognize the name. Really.
Right.
But yeah. I don't know. I guess Faust was the original thing, right?
Right.
That I'm not familiar with. But
the only thing I'm as familiar with it as I am with the Daniel Webster story. I just know that they're similar.
Yeah, I guess that was the original Selling Your Soul story. The Devil and Daniel Webster was like an Americana take on that old story. But that's enough of a plot summary for that. We can move on to the reviews, I think.
Okay. Now, I can't review the Alec Baldwin film.
Because you didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
That would be unfair.
So would you like to do that?
Sure. And I've pretty much already given my review of the Devil's Food movie. I think everyone knows where I stand on that. This movie never got to be finished because of the funding issues that I brought up earlier. So it's probably a little bit unfair to judge it harshly. But I can look at things that wouldn't have changed. And one of those is Alec Baldwin casting himself in the main role. He's supposed to be like a down on your luck every day type of guy who can't get a girlfriend. Now, Steve, I don't want to sound like, the other F word, but Alec Baldwin's like a notoriously good-looking guy, right?
Yeah, it's quite famous for being a handsome gentleman.
Yeah, he's like one of the most charismatic leading men of our generation. He's miscast in this. It should have been, just a more regular-looking dude. His friend in this would have been perfect for that role, who we didn't see. He's just a friend writer that he has. So I don't think ultimately it really would have worked regardless if they'd been able to finish it because it would have been miscast. And Dan Aykroyd, say what you want about him. He's a comedy icon, but he plays everything over the top. And the whole feel of this thing is kind of uneven. Like sometimes it's like light fairy tale type of thing. And other times it's heavy. And having Dan Aykroyd in there overacting like he always not overacting. He's just over the top is how he plays everything, It works in Ghostbusters, but it's not going to work in something like this. And Jeniffer Love Hewitt was good. Anthony Hopkins is great. That if you're going to watch it, that's the reason to watch it. It's a fantastic performance. It's a shame that it didn't come out better than what it did, frankly, because he's great. He's just fantastic in it. And I would give it, 2 Meredith Baxters, one for Anthony Hopkins' performance and one for what it could have been. It could have been better. And it could have been, made some money at the box office had it been released in a timely fashion and, not the way it was.
Fair enough. How about Devil's Food?
You want me to rate it?
Yeah, you should rate it.
What's our scale? 0 to 5 Meredith?
Yeah.
-10.
That's historic.
This movie broke the Meredith meter.
All 123 pounds of it. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to give Devil's Food 3 out of 5.
This
Meredith
is unbelievable.
Baxters.
You have to be kidding me.
I do have my reasons, though. It's a Lifetime movie where the only men who are vilified are the literal devil and his underling. So I'm kind of grading it on a curve here.
Okay.
And I believe the intended audience would be entertained by it and even admiring of its twist.
I mean, I will give it credit for having a twist ending, okay, even though it makes no sense for a 50-year-old woman to have a baby.
She's not stated as being 50, and she's not. They're not claiming she's 50.
Okay, what were the other reasons?
Oh, that it's a Lifetime movie where the bad guys are actual bad guys. They're actual evil guys. They're not just bad because they're men.
And you said, and what was the other thing you said? You believe it?
That's it.
You thought that the intended audience enjoyed it. Didn't you say something like that?
Yes. And that they would enjoy the twist ending.
All right. Well, I don't mean to offend anyone, but if you enjoyed this movie, and I exclude you from this because you specifically said the intended audience, you're an idiot. You're an idiot who knows nothing about taste. You have no taste in movies. You have no taste in anything. Never mind. I've said enough.
All right. Well, in that case, did we do it?
Yeah.
All right. I've mispronounced enough. A weird night vocally for the Bull.
Yeah, me too. I'm not used to yelling as much as I did. And it's not. My voice is not used to that.
All right. Well, in that case, thanks so much, Chris, for putting up, enduring this horrible motion picture you seem to believe it is.
Yeah, and this came 3 days off of watching the Phillies choke.
You chose this film.
That was very difficult to watch as well.
Remind you chose this film.
I chose this film. Well, shame on me.
All right, for Chris Morgani and Jim Corhan, I'm Steve Rees. Askiwiwi.
Askiwawa.
Hold on, Tigers.
Tigers.
Eat 'em raw. We did it, sir.